All right, it is 11:30. Welcome, everybody. My name is Nathan Bennett with Life and Safety Consultants. Welcome to our first webinar of 2023. There are a few more, which I'll talk about at the end of the presentation today. For the duration of today's presentation, everyone will remain muted. If you have any questions, please feel free to enter those into the chat window, and I will ask those of the presenters at the end of our training today. This is being recorded, so if you do want to go back and review it, we will have it posted on our YouTube channel on Monday. There'll be an email that goes out as well. And at this point, I'd like to go ahead and turn over the presentation to Lauren Hill and Jeff Smogich from Module. So if you guys would, please go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Nathan. All right, Jeff, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lauren Hill, and I'm actually a client strategy and solutions manager here at Module. I've been with Module for about 1.5 years now, so we're super excited to talk to everybody about our technology and kind of the vast improvements that we've had, even within the 1.5 years that I've been here, but especially since we've started back in 2016.
Thanks, Lauren. And I'm Jeff Smogich. I'm the Chief Growth Officer. I'm a partner with Lauren here at Module. I'm a 30-year engineer and board-certified ergonomist, having been involved in some smaller organizations as well as the past 7 years being the global ergonomics practice leader at Marsh in McLennan.
Excellent.
Next slide, please.
Oh, my apologies. I know exactly what's going on. There we go.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for the folks attending this webinar today. And just to level set, here at Module, our mission is to prevent workplace injuries. And if you really think about all of the people, the 50 plus folks that work at Module, we're problem solvers. Every day looking for innovation, looking for new approaches, looking at technology and how we can prevent injuries and make the workplaces safer and easier and more efficient for you in your company that lead to happy employees and stronger, more profitable entities. So it sounds like a simple statement, but if we really go through these learning objectives, there's 3 that we'll really try to cover today. One is understand how smart technology or wearable technology can be used in your workplace safety planning, everything from identification to management to mitigation. Number 2 is we'll talk about some key benefits of data-driven decisions. One thing we know is good data drives great decisions. And so having great data will help us in our current state as well as the future state of our organization. And number 3 is sharing several examples of how this technology can be applied to improve safety and ergonomics in your company. I wanted to level set just a little bit here. I'm going to talk about the top injury causes. If we look at OSHA, if we look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, if we look at research organizations like universities, or we look at Liberty Mutual, we find that the top injury causes, non-fatal injury causes, number 1 across the board and across the world are overexertion injuries. And this is primarily related to lifting, lowering, pushing, pulling, carrying, and throwing objects. And so if we think of that, we realize that this accounts for over 20% of the national and even the international burden that we have of people having lumbar or lower back injuries, costing billions and billions of dollars in direct costs. If we factor in indirect costs, it probably doubles that number. If we look to the right there, the back is the most expensive workplace musculoskeletal disorder. 8 out of every 10 employees at your company will experience some form of low back related pain during their working lives. And low back pain is the single leading cause of disability in over 160 countries, according to the International Labor Organization. And the reason that that's important is that's how Module got its start, was looking at some of the biggest claims and developing a product such that could address lumbar injuries. The second biggest top injury cause that we see are falls, people falling on the same level, and that ranks second of the total injury burden, coming in about 18%. Number three is struck by an object or equipment. For example, powered industrial trucks. We realize that there's often a negative interaction between fork trucks and people. If you think about your facility, for example, there's often a lot of shared lanes where people walk on one side and fork trucks walk on the other or drive on the other, but they often interact. And it ends up in hundreds of deaths annually, as well as tens of thousands of maiming injuries. Just to round out the top five, number 4 and number 5, we find the top injury causes being falls to a lower level, as well as other exertions or bodily reactions. And this looks at shoulder injuries as well as hands and wrist injuries. And of the top 5 causes, Module, we have a product that works to address each of these top injury causes and more. I just wanted to isolate, based on our participants today, that if we look a little deeper at specific industry verticals, we look at manufacturing or we look at wholesale, which includes warehousing and distribution, we do recognize that these top 5 injury causes are the same. That, it is overexertion leading the pack everywhere we go, and then a slight shuffling of falls and struck bys. But overall, every organization is having some safety and ergonomic issues related to the risk of getting hurt. So the big question, and I'm going to turn it over to Lauren so she can explore these a little bit more, is, are these injuries the cost of doing business? And we do recognize that in your business, there is risk, and risk can lead to negative outcomes. But understanding these risks can help us protect your employees and your company's bottom line. For example, if we believe that the cost of a construction company building a building and that we're going to injure or kill 3 people, well, if we only injure or kill 2 people, we're excited. We're better than we were. But is even 1 injury or 1 death acceptable? And the answer is no. So we ask ourselves really 2 questions. One is, the work we're doing in our facilities, has it been designed? And are the employees trained to move properly and avoid excessive bending? The Module products that Lauren's going to talk about are specifically designed to give the right tools and information to every employee such that they can put themselves in the least physically demanding, or differently said, the most advantageous movement positions to help mitigate risk. And once we have great data, we can then use that data to help redesign, select, and implement the proper equipment to help optimize working postures to further reduce the incident of injury. So with that information, I want to turn over to Lauren about how the Module ecosystem and products work.
Thank you so much, Jeff. A fun way that I like to think about Module is actually a Mary Poppins bag of metrics. We're not just a one-trick pony. We have a single solution that has the ability to solve a multitude of problems, a lot of which Jeff just covered at your facility. One thing that I do want to highlight is we have a lot of capabilities that you can see here involved with our ecosystem. I am only going to highlight on a few of them throughout this presentation. So if you are interested in a more deep dive on Module and learning about all of the capabilities that we have available, my information is at the end of this PowerPoint. So please reach out to me and I'd be happy to set up a call with you to kind of dive a little bit deeper. The main bread and butter of Module, of course, is going to be our lumbar safety. That is why Module was created. What we have the ability to do is we have the ability to pick up on all types of bending behavior for your employees. It's very hard to understand exactly how your employees are moving throughout each shift. And let's be honest, if somebody knows that they're being observed, those T's are going to be crossed and those I's are going to be dotted. So what Module is able to do, it's able to provide you with a true understanding and understanding of the body mechanics of your employees. We're able to pick up on bending movement from 20 degrees all the way to above 70 degrees. Not only will you understand how many bends within each angle range your employees are taking, you're also going to be able to understand the type of bending behavior that is happening. Are your employees just taking a bend only? Are they bending down and coming straight back up? Is there twisting involved with the bends, or is there acceleration involved with the bends? You're also going to be able to have an understanding of the duration that your employees are spending bent. Along with the bending metrics that are collected, we're also collecting twisting. So you're going to be able to have an understanding of how many times your employees are twisting above 45 degrees and below 45 degrees, just to give you a full understanding of how those employees are moving throughout the shift. Movement metrics that we have the ability to do is going to be more on the lines of operational Kaizen. The way that the Module device works is it actually categorizes time within 3 different categories. You're going to have an understanding of the work time. That's exactly what it sounds like. It's going to be the time spent working, whether that means those big drastic twisting and bending movements or stationary work. Are they just on an assembly line, taking little movements here and there? You're going to be able to have that full breakdown, as well as travel time. Travel time is going to be that time spent moving in between tasks. Let's say, for instance, you had 4 different job roles that were being observed with a Module device, and 3 of those job roles were walking around 10,000 to 15,000 steps a day, while the other one is upwards of 30,000 steps. That might be a great time to think, hey, why is this specific job task so different from the others? Is there a way that we can either eliminate the time being spent between each task or adjust the way that the job roles are being done each day to eliminate some of that travel time? And then wait time is exactly what it sounds like. It's going to be that time spent sitting, standing, or lying. Our SOS alert is exactly what it sounds like. It is the I've fallen and can't get up metric associated with our device. It actually works in a couple of different ways. There is a big yellow button on the front of the device. What that does is if an employee is to go down, they can actually have the ability to press that device and it sends out a communication to whomever is set up to receive alerts. What it'll do is it will notify that supervisor that employee X is in need of assistance. That way they know that their employee is down and they need assistance. We also know that there are often going to be times if an employee might go down and will be knocked unconscious. The way that the Module device would work is it would feel that initial hit to the ground, and then it'll feel the lack of movement that's happening on the employee end, and it will sense that something is wrong. So what it'll do is it will actually automatically send that exact same alert that occurs with that big yellow button. It'll automatically send that alert out to that supervisor to let them know that the employee is also in need of assistance. I also want to highlight on the location tracking that we have over here. That's going to be more associated with a heat map of activity. So what will happen is you're going to be able to have an understanding of where your employees are and where those certain areas are that have more risk associated with their positions. So it'll just kind of give you a heat map breakdown of your entire facility to see what areas are riskier than others. And then the last area that I did want to focus on was our real-time data. That, along with the SOS alert, are the 2 metrics with our device that require that constant connectivity throughout your facilities. But the way it works is essentially you would have an on-the-fly access to your data. Data is uploaded every 3 minutes. So essentially every 3 minutes, you can refresh your dashboard and have an understanding of exactly how your employees are moving live. One thing that I do want to note is our device is very non-invasive. So a lot of times employees forget that they're wearing it. So what we notice is that our devices very easily walked off site, but less easily came back on site. So we created an exit detection system. Each of our devices actually have RFID tags within them. So what happens is if an employee is wearing our device, walks off site, what will happen is the exit detection will alarm and just notify the employee that, hey, you have something on you that needs to stay within the facility. What we noticed with this exit detection system actually was it could benefit our clients in another way. A lot of times high valued assets also walk off site. A lot of people will accidentally put them in their back pockets or in their book bags during break and will walk off site when they're ready to go home. Because let's be honest, we're all guilty of it. When it's time to go home from work, that is the only thing you're thinking about. So if you have something in your pocket, it might easily be forgotten. So what we have the ability to do is utilizing that exact same exit detection system, we can actually tag high valued assets on site, and it'll work in the exact same way. If somebody was to have, for instance, a scanner in their back pocket, they'll actually be flagged at the exit to notify them that you have something on them that needs to stay within the facility. The way that the module device works is we have the ability to prevent injury in 3 different ways. We have what we call a haptic response associated with our device. So the way that we typically do pilot programs is the first 2 weeks, we keep this haptic response off because we want to create baseline data in order to create true understanding of how your employees are moving. And then the start of that 3rd week, we actually turn that haptic response on, typically at 60 degrees. However, along with other metrics with our device, it is customizable to your needs. So what will happen now is when the employee takes a deep, risky bend, they're going to feel a vibration that serves as an on-the-fly reminder right then and there that they're taking a risky bend for their back. I like to think about it like Pavlov. We're trying to create good habits with employees, so we want them to recognize where that bad bend is, even without the haptic response. We've received feedback from current clients that are at home, and let's say they were to drop something on the ground, they actually recognize when they're at home where that bend mark is, and that's exactly what we want them to do. We want to create that habit even if they're not wearing the module device. The data that we collect on a daily basis, we actually conduct data reviews either weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly with all of our clients in order to keep everybody completely involved in the data. And we have an online dashboard that is accessible to supervisors, so they're actually able to access their own employees' data just so they have an understanding of how those employees are moving, followed by any type of training or additional procedures that might need to be put into place. You take those 3 ways and we're able to prevent injury within our clients. Another area that we are developing with our RFID technology is specifically with forklifts. We've been utilizing ultra wideband and proximity alerts. Jeff kind of touched on this earlier, but what we're doing is it's going to notify both on the driver end and on the employee end. So what will happen is if an employee is on a forklift and is coming close to another worker that is not on a forklift, they will actually get notified that they are coming within a certain distance and receive an alert. So they know that they're within a range of another worker. As well as on the employee end themselves, they will receive an alert whenever they're close to a forklift. And lastly, we're able to do any type of blind intersection. If 2 forklifts or even a single forklift was coming up to this blind spot or intersection, they will actually receive an alert so that they're aware that they're coming within that zone. The solution themselves of module might have a lot of complexities and additional capabilities. However, the process is very, very simple. An employee will walk into their shift, grab a device. Each device actually has a QR code. They're going to scan that QR code. It will allocate that device to their profile for the day. They wear the device throughout the entirety of their shift. The only time they're really going to know that that device is there is when they take that deep, risky bend and feel that haptic response. That serves as a great opportunity for additional education. And then we actually have a mobile app that is available to all employees where they can log in and actually access their own data. They're not going to be able to see the data of any of their other employees, just themselves. And then we also have an online dashboard that is accessible for leadership where they can actually view the data of all their employees at their facility. Let's say hypothetically we were at 6 different facilities within a company. The way that the dashboard works is the supervisor at facility 1 would only be able to access the data for that facility. They would not be able to see the data for facility 2 or 3. This is a great illustration that just further proves that the module technology works. Time and time again, we receive extremely positive feedback from our clients. In this particular client, within 10 weeks, they saw an astronomical difference with the data. The haptic response alone, you will start to see data just tremendously trend down, but you tie that in with the data reviews as well as any additional process improvement or education that might have to happen, you're just really going to see that decrease in risky behavior on the employee front. What we have noticed is when you start to see data plateau, that usually indicates that a lot of the risky behavior has been eliminated on the employee level. Now it's time to take a deeper dive on the job front to see if any additional processes or equipment needs to be added to further reduce those risky behaviors. And then last but not least, we've actually, because we've implemented the module technology amongst a multitude of different clients, we've created an easy 10-step plan that can be put into place to implement our technology within your facility. We like to start anytime we start a pilot program with clients, we like to start with education with anybody who's going to be involved with the program, whether mostly that's going to be on the leadership end. However, we're completely open to also educating employees. We like to be present as much as we possibly can. So whether that means during the recruitment period for when we're signing employees up for the program, the advertisement period where we're actually on site talking about the module program, getting people hyped up and excited about this technology. Because let's be honest, data is fun. It's fun to see data and watch those trends change. So we want to make sure that people are also engaged on that front. And then once we do actually kickstart a program, we're fully engaged with all of those data reviews, supplying any type of training that might need to happen. And then that's when you're really going to see those injuries just completely reduce. Excellent. Again, my information is attached to this PowerPoint, so please, by all means, I'm happy to, I only highlighted a couple of the capabilities that we do have available, so I'm happy to take a much deeper dive into the technology to see how our solutions can help you at your facility.
Hey, Lauren, thanks. That was great information. And yeah, do we have any questions that we can answer?
All right, I do have a couple questions. This is Nathan, by the way. Thank you guys for that presentation. That was fantastic. Where are you all located? Where and what areas do you service?
Excellent
Great
question.
Go ahead, Lauren, you've got this.
Our warehouse is actually here in Greenville. We're right off of Pelham Road.
Okay, great. And the 10-step timeline that you just had on the screen, what is the time from step 1 to step 10? What is the timeline for getting that in place at a facility if a company decides to go for the whole thing?
That is a great question. It is usually on a case-per-case basis, depending on the client. I would say if we have some of our clients, we can go straight from our initial conversation into an implementation and it's very quick, but other companies might require additional paperwork or steps with IT that does take a little bit longer. So I would say it could range anywhere from 3 weeks if you don't have any of those processes that need to happen on the IT or additional paperwork front. If not, it could extend upwards of, I would say, maybe 6 to 8 weeks from the start, but that's only if you have to take a deep dive with, involving IT to get approvals signed. If contracts have to be signed, that's what elongates some processes.
Excellent. And last question, is there anywhere that a client or a potential client could go to see this in action or to try it out without bringing it into their facility first?
Absolutely. I'd be also happy to come on site too, to kind of show a demo. We can kind of do a live demo too. But yes, that's a great question.
Gotcha. Absolutely. All right. Well, those were the questions we had. Thank you, Jeff and Lauren, for your presentation. Again, this has been recorded. It will be posted to our YouTube channel, and I'm going to take over the screen for just a second before we're done. We do have a few more webinars coming up. Oh, well, did my screen stop? What? Can you all see my screen still?
Yes.
Yes.
My computer is just acting a little funky. So we do have a few webinars coming up this year. They're on the screen. There will be emails going out, of course. All of you should be aware of that. You are joining us today, so you know how to get signed up. So a few exciting ones. The cybersecurity one is the next one in just a few weeks. So be looking out for your emails to sign up for that. And thank you all so much for participating. Appreciate your time and attention. And again, thank you, Lauren and Jeff. Appreciate it. I did just see someone just did post a comment. Consider working with your insurance carrier for pilot studies. That's a great point.
Yeah, thank you for that comment, Bob. We do appreciate that. We actually do partner with several insurance brokers and carriers for pilot studies, as well as helping their insured come to scale to really reduce their safety and ergo claims. So thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, everyone. Unless there are any other comments, we'll go ahead and call it for the day. Stay safe out there and have a great weekend.